Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, distinguished guests, graduates, and friends of the University of Bradford. Today we celebrate someone who's made a mark on football, education, equality, and believe it or not, penalty shootouts. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to a man who has worn many hats: striker, coach, mentor, manager, Premier League Equality, Diversity and Inclusion lead, and now honorary doctor. Mr. Ifem Onuora was born in Glasgow to Nigerian parents, raised on Merseyside, and came to the University of Bradford in 1985 to study BSc in Social Sciences. Let's be honest, his student days probably included a lot of lecture halls and just as many muddy football pitches. While here, he represented the university on the pitch with the same energy and spirit he brought to the classroom, qualities that would later define his professional journey. I'm told his dissertation may or may not have included a formation diagram. After completing his studies, if he stuck around for an extra year, but not because he failed his exams, he was elected as the University of Bradford Students' Union Sports Officer, a role he took on with the same passion and tenacity he showed both in lectures and on the field. Following this, Ify launched into a 15-year professional football career, playing for 9 clubs, including Huddersfield Town, Gillingham, and Swindon Town, where he later returned as manager. He scored 117 goals in 453 appearances, which is highly impressive unless you were the goalkeeper. He held coaching roles with England's under-21s and even managed the Ethiopian national team, a testament to his international influence in the game. Now here's a fun fact. Ify's full name, Ifem, conveys warmth, positivity, and possibility in Igbo, a sentiment that could just as easily be his personal motto. And during his playing days, he had a near-perfect record with penalty kicks, a reliable presence under pressure. Teammates often joked he was more nervous giving post-match interviews than stepping up to take a last-minute penalty. But Ify's biggest legacy may well lie off the pitch. As the head of Equality, Diversity and Inclusion at the Premier League, he is making sure football is not just a beautiful game, but a fair one too. He leads efforts to challenge discrimination, open pathways for diverse talent, and ensure that football is truly a game for all. He is the first ever ambassador for the Wheelchair Football Association. Ify also chairs the Premier League's Black Participants Advisory Group, leads on significant initiatives such as the No Room for Racism Action Plan and the flagship Player to Executive Pathways scheme. He brings the same dedication to EDI as he once brought to the 6-yard box: research, strategy, and above all, a deep sense of purpose. His colleagues say he is the only person who could deliver a 30-slide presentation on inclusion and still make time to ask about your mom, your cats, and your fantasy football points. What makes Ify's leadership so impactful isn't just strategy, it is personal investment. He is known for remembering every player's story, quirks, even their favorite pre-match snack. His work blends empathy with purpose, strategy with compassion. One colleague once described him as having the heart of a mentor and the mind of a coach. A few months ago, Ify returned to the University of Bradford to reconnect with students and staff. He praised the university's commitment to social mobility, diversity, and opportunity, values that have shaped his own life. He was also moved by the university's scholarship initiatives and groundbreaking projects like Stories from Valley Parade. He reflected on his time here as deeply formative, saying he wouldn't change a thing, and the university wouldn't change either. What sets Ify apart is that wherever he goes, he leaves things better than he found them. Whether it's on the pitch or in the boardroom, he brings heart, humor, and a drive to make things fairer for everyone. Like a penalty kick, workplace decisions are shaped by unseen pressures. Ify journeys shows how recognizing hidden influences is key to meaningful progress in EDI. By understanding what lies beneath the surface, we can create a more inclusive culture. I am pleased to welcome his friends and family who are in our midst today, particularly those alumni that have been meeting with Ify yearly as Football Reunited Group. Chancellor, in recognition of his outstanding contributions to football and all things penalty related, his transformative leadership in equality and inclusion, and for being a brilliant ambassador for this wonderful university, I am delighted to present to you for the award of Honorary Doctor of the University, Mr. Ifem Onuora.
This is my absolute pleasure and honour. By the authority vested in me, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of the University. Congratulations. Thank you.
Wow, follow that. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, fellow graduates and invited guests. I'm incredibly honoured and humbled to accept this award, especially from this university, which has significantly helped shape my career. Congratulations too to my fellow graduates accepting their awards. Hopefully, like me, you'll look back fondly on this day many years from now. And finally, a special thanks on behalf of my fellow award recipients to their own family and friends who supported them on their respective journeys and are here with them today. I know I'm indebted to my family, partner, and friends who are here today too. I'm very blessed to have had their support throughout all these years. And it has been 40 long years this September. In fact, I arrived in Bradford from the People's Republic of Liverpool, God City, and then spent 4 wonderful years here. And then it was only 2 months after leaving here that I made my debut for Huddersfield Town. So it's quite a whirlwind. And it was a very different time then in football than it is now. Back then there weren't as many black players and abuse wasn't online, it was within stadiums. I then became head coach when there was and still is a lack of black coaches. And finally now I'm an executive in the game where again people of colour are still few and far between. What I've come to realise all these years have been about showcasing equality, by striving and thriving in environments where often you're the only one who looks, sounds and feels the way you do. And that cuts across all protected characteristics: class, race, gender, sexuality and disability. I remember as a young person growing up and being inspired by the iconic men and women from previous generations whose shoulders we stood upon, People like Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in jail, emerged to become leader of his nation, South Africa, and dismantle the apartheid system. Or Emily Pankhurst, humble girl from Moss Side in Manchester, playing her prominent role in the struggle for women's right to vote at the turn of the 20th century, to name but two. These storied men and women were early pioneers in equality, blazing a trail for those that followed in their footsteps. But now some of those hard-earned gains are being openly challenged and even being dismantled in places. So for those of us who see ourselves as progressive people, the challenge even more now is to continue to show up at work, be impactful, and normalise equality in whatever workplaces we find ourselves. One thing I've lent into continually throughout my life is my faith, both in good time when things are going well, and also in those difficult times that invariably come your way. In the Bible, in Romans 5:3-5, it says, "Suffering produces perseverance, perseverance produces character, and character hope." We do need to develop that crucial component of resilience and remind ourselves that it's often through setbacks and failure that we often learn the most. To develop the ability to fall down 7 times and get up 8, in the words of the great actor Denzel Washington. We're each one of us uniquely made, and all of us, whether young or old, still a work in progress. It's only through giving ourselves and each other grace to occasionally fail that we can show kindness, curiosity, and empathy, and we can never have enough of those. In the book About a Boy by Nick Hornby, there's a passage where the main protagonist, Will, sees a picture of himself as a 10-year-old boy, dressed in a cowboy hat, and wonders whether he's done right by his younger self's hopes and dreams. It's a poignant moment of reflection, and hopefully today can be a similarly significant moment along the way for all the journeys that lay ahead for all of us. I'd like to leave you with a quote from the writer Leo Rostin of May, and it goes like this: "I cannot believe that the purpose of life is to be just happy. I think the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, to be honourable, to be compassionate. It is above all to matter, to count, to stand for something, to have it make some difference that you lived at all." Congratulations, best wishes to everyone again. Shalom, inshallah, God bless, see you at work.